please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Government of India is talking about some synergy benefits. They're talking about strategic plan, using the resources, optimizing those resources as well. Your initial take on these moves, sir?
No, these are very good moves, and I'll try to take you back in time to 2011-12, when I was heading BSNL. At that time, we signed an MOU with MTNL, and at that time, on my request, DOT had agreed to constitute a committee headed by the then member Telecom Services, Telecom Commission, to look into this synergies in DOT PSU. And a comprehensive report after detailed discussions with all the stakeholders, all the PSUs, all the four, five PSUs, was prepared. And I'm very happy that it has resulted into a formal signing of this MOU. I'm really grateful to the Honorable Minister who has taken initiative to bring out that report and also do, necessary changes which are required, as the passing of time. So it's a very good, all in all, it's a very good move.
Absolutely. Mr. Upadhyay, you're saying that when you were on the committee, you had proposed this. It has taken a few years, but how much does it move the needle? You all would have done some number crunching. What kind of a benefit can we see? If all these PSUs come together, some kind of numbers, because, they were clearly struggling in the last few years.
Actually, you see, it will be very difficult for me at this point of time to, or for anybody to guess into the number.
Yeah.
But one thing is very clear that all these PSUs, BSNL, MTNL, Indian Telephone Industries, that is ITI, TCIL, CDOT. CDOT is not a PSU, but CDOT is an autonomous body under Ministry of Communication, like a society. So all these are a lot of synergies. Okay. ITI is having manufacturing capabilities. BSNL, MTNL they are the telecom operators from ages, and they have a lot of expertise in execution of projects, rolling out the network, running the services. We also have DEC, which is the standardization body. BSNL has QA, quality assurance, which is good in testing various kind of equipment. So there are a lot of synergies which are existing, and many times what happens, if you lose out on these synergies, then there is a redundant effort on part of these organizations. So those redundancies, can be cut down, and that will have a lot of saving potential, saving of cost. And in today's world, saving cost means earning money.
Right. Mr. Upadhyay, just one thing, they're talking about optimizing the land resources as well. You have any numbers in terms of how much was the land that these companies could own? What could they mean in terms of optimizing these land resources that they're talking about? Some kind of numbers, sir, would you have? Dated as well. We'll at least get a brief idea.
No, then a detailed stock of land resources was taken during the period of 11 to 14. And everything is documented and codified. So I can only say that, too much of land is available at very prime locations with at least, BSNL and ITI. Indian Telephone Industries also has good land parcels, but limited few cities. Whereas BSNL has land parcels across the country and in most prime locations. Right? So, government will have to really spell out their what kind of arrangement they want to utilize these land resources for bringing betterment to these PSUs.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Upadhyay, we'll leave it at that, sir. Thanks much for your time. Telecom expert Sanjay Kapoor also joins in. Hi, Sanjay. Good afternoon. So we've got some bit of, forward movement in terms of these telecom PSUs. A strategic plan, so to say, has been announced, but it's lacking in details as to how exactly things will be implemented. They talk about lack of litigation, sharing of resources, as well as the land, which is in plenty. But you think this is going to move the needle much for these stocks per se?
So look, let's be absolutely pragmatic on what's happening on telecom the world over. I think the industry is now moving at a very, very fast pace because technologies are changing hands and are being upgraded at a much shorter time interval than they ever were. The monies that are required to deal with the newer requirements of bandwidth, video grade networks, digital services, and 5G already being talked about when 4G is not fully deployed, are all testimonial to the fact that we need tons and tons of money and infrastructure to be created to really build a consumer experience. In the midst of all this, a new structure of the industry has also got defined, where it seems to be clearly a market of 3 or 4 operators, because it cannot absorb more than an oligopoly, even in India. I think is now everybody's convinced about it. But while we say all this, there are lots of public sector undertakings, both in the periphery and in the mainframe, who are uncompetitive, right? And they are not uncompetitive because they don't have enough land, or they are not uncompetitive because they don't have enough and more people working for them. They are uncompetitive because the way they function, right? And nothing stopped them even yesterday from collaborating with each other, right? With or without this MOU. With this MOU, if you're still going to have distinct organizations and respective heads and respective senior managements at each one of these places, I'm not too sure in a practical life how much of working is going to change and how many synergies will really get drawn out of this. The second phenomena is that 2 wrongs don't make a right. If there are 2 non-sustainable entities or non-competitive industries in the market, by clubbing them together, you're not going to make a competitive, output in the market. That's not going to happen. So, I feel that this is probably the right rhetoric, but I'm absolutely skeptical about what it is going to yield and whether it's going to make any one of these public sector entities any more competitive than what they were yesterday. Real estate is a separate entity. I mean, real estate or lack of real estate has not made winners in this market. If government wants to monetize real estate, there are 100 ways of doing it, and I think government should do it. But I don't think that is linked to the success of what is going to happen. So I guess, it's a tick in the box, but I'm not too sure how much of competitive, entities will get created out of these moves.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kapoor. So we'll have to see what kind of an output can we get in terms of these measures. Thanks so much for stopping by and giving us those details. Well, just to tell our viewers a few more details, because MTNL is the stock that we're talking about. MTNL for the last few years, well, there's been no big sales growth. The operating losses have continued for the last many years. I think, close to around, I think it'll be nearly around 7 to around 8 years at least that we're seeing losses in terms of operating on the operating basis. The interest cost was nearly around 35% of the total sales. Forget about the operating profit, there's no profit at all. So 35% of the sales, and for the last year itself, the interest cost was nearly around 45 to around 50% of sales. So to turn this around is going to be a big task. Maybe in fact, yes, it's a tick in the box, but how does it happen? The stock is up, but just keep all that in mind before you take a call on MTNL.